Hello, namaskar, and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. Today we are going to talk about zero hunger, right? Very important topic for your capacity building. But before that, observe the date today. It's 16th October, last date for up to 50% discount on our pen drive and tablet courses. Make the most out of today's discount. With this difference, you can download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page and Twitter handle. Now, of course, we know that hunger is a global challenge, right? But the most important thing when it comes to any challenge or any sort of problem that we face in our personal or professional or societal life or a national life or international life, we have to understand this thing that the most important thing is not a solution. The first and the most important step is identification of the right cause, right? What is the main reason why we are suffering from global hunger, or why this hunger is a global challenge? If you ask most of the people, the first thing that will tell you is that because of lack of food production, because of lack of food, right, we are facing this global hunger, or this hunger is a big challenge. But that is a very wrong thing. The right thing is that the global food production is enough to feed all human beings. At least minimum twice a day you can get good quality food, each and every single human being on this planet. Can you believe this thing? But then as well, 815 million people. Now 1 million is equal to 10 lakh. I'm sure you are aware about this thing, but then as well, I have to put it this way. So now you can calculate and imagine how many people are suffering from chronic undernourishment. And one of the main reasons behind chronic undernourishment is because lack of access to quality or lack of access to food altogether. And when it comes to our country, generally, we term our nation as, or our economy as, an agriculture-based economy. We call our country as an agriculture country, a country that has been associated with agriculture since time immemorial. But then as well, means I'll give you a small example. When we travel on highways or via train, or many times from aeroplanes as well, you can see that fields, right? This agriculture fields are everywhere. As soon as we leave our city area, we find agriculture fields everywhere. But then as well, we are suffering from this hunger challenge, because if you go through this global hunger index, we find that our rank is 100 out of 119. So it's a matter of shame as well as matter of concern as well for us, that being such a big country, being such a rich country in terms of geography, in terms of a variety of food items and other things, our rank is so bad. And the fact is that India produces enough food to feed all its citizens. Then as well, we are suffering from this crisis of food security, or you can say hunger is a big problem in our country. Now we know that the way things have changed in our country in terms of socio-economic life, people are migrating in towards city area, and our cities are getting more densely populated compared to our rural area. And even though, right, maximum amount of people are living in a rural area, but our cities are pockets where you find huge amount of people. So the demand as well as pattern of food demand has changed, and this changed demand as well as changing demographic requires us to think smartly, isn't it? What we have to do is we have to develop and design more efficient integrated systems of food production. Not only food production but also food processing. Now when we say food production, then water is a topic on which we have talked about many a times. There are other topics as well, but just to take water here, just a small example. If we are using too much water for production of rice and wheat and other crops, then that's not sustainable, isn't it? We have to go through, or we have to go for this per drop more crop sort of thing. If a country like Israel can produce a huge amount of food, even that Israel is a desert state, but then as well, if it can produce this amount of good quality food with minimum water, then we too can do the same thing. So that's the thing with us. We need to change our food production pattern. We have to improve processing for job creation, for safety of our food, for preservation, for distribution, everything, right? The whole supply chain basically needs a re-engineering, because our country is blessed with a food basket that differs from region to region. So if you go to Gujarat, you have bajra and jowar and other items. But if you go to Rajasthan, or say for example if you go to some other place like South India, then you have spices. So we have a variety of various different things in different pockets of our country. So we need a proper integrated, transport system. Through we can apply data analytics and other latest technologies through which we can make sure that we are using as minimum as possible this fuel, and we are transporting big quantity of food from one place to another. Then distribution, you can, if you use more technology, tracking system, and this data analytics and other things, then it will become much easier. We can cut down on fuel as well. We can cut down on carbon emission as well. That's one point. The other thing is, because we are not using all these things, we are suffering from this loss. 7% of food production, right, it goes into waste in our country every year. 7% in India is not a small amount. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, it's 30%, which is it's unacceptable altogether. We have to get rid of this thing. 30% of fruits and vegetables. Just imagine if we can control this 7% and this 30%, then fruit and vegetables and crop food prices will come down. Inflation will come down, and farmers in fact will be able to make more when you have this sort of things. But for that we need warehouse facilities, we need cold storages. That is something that is missing here in our country, and this is one of the main reason why 30% of fruits and vegetables, which are perishable items, and then we have a little bit of long lasting items, food like wheat and other crops, right? They are bit more, you can say, they have validity when we compare it with fruits and vegetables. In African continent, it is estimated that food wasted can feed close to 40 million people. So we are talking about 4 crore people. Hunger is increasingly a processing, storage, supply chain and logistics challenge. It's not about production. It is more about processing, storage, supply chain and logistics. Something that is achievable. If private companies can do it, then of course nations can definitely do it. If we go through International Institute of Refrigeration's report, we find that if developing countries around the world, if they have all those refrigeration infrastructure equivalent to this developed nations, then 200 million tons of food, or around 14% of their food supply chain, can be protected. If we say that if we go through the figures of National Center for Cold Chain Development, that is NCCD of India, we have only 15% of our transportation facilities having this temperature control facilities. Only 1% of warehouse facilities are dedicated for transporting preconditioned agricultural produce. When it comes to cold chains, only 4% of country's food is passing from cold chain. So 96% of food is not passing through cold chain. So inferior quality, lack of validity, all these things. And because we don't have this sort of items, what is happening is that in a same season, your farmers will come with their produce in the market, because if they keep it for a bit of long time, then they may lose everything. So they flood this market with a particular thing, and because supply is high at that point of time and demand is not that much, so this middlemen, they will make the most out of it rather than farmers. So if we have cold storage and other facilities, right, then farmers can earn handsome amount out of this food production. And this is one of the most important point, and the last one too, that Food and Agriculture Organization estimates that food wastage accounts for 8% of global greenhouse gas. Very important point, note it down, right? When we talk about greenhouse, when you talk about carbon emission or temperature, do add this point. This point is a unique point, right? If you have to add, if you are writing an answer and if you think that you want to show a vehicle contribution of coming from vehicle and contribution of construction activities and other things, then do add this food item as well, that 8% of global greenhouse gas emission is coming from food wastage. And do write down reference Food and Agriculture Organization you will get good mark for that. You will stand out, right, from this crowd. Now, dear friends, moving on to important news items. We have Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He made a strong case for partnership between producers and consumers, particularly of this oil market, because if you don't have consumers, if your consumers cannot afford oil, right, then how producers are going to make money out of it? So here we are talking about international trade, right? He was urging this producing nations that you have to be a little bit more sensitive towards these issues that are faced by consumer country like India. The thing is, when it comes to oil, right, the production quantity as well as the price, all these things are decided by handful of nations, and they are the ones, right, they are the ones, they will control this production, supply and price and everything. So they can decide on this thing, if they are sensitive enough, if they genuinely take into consideration this thing, that rise in price of oil, it can severely, it can bring so many major challenges, economical as well as political and other sort of challenges for a country like India, right? And if they look after us, then they are the ones who are going to benefit out of it. Prime Minister also talked about this challenge of payment terms, that dollar prices going up, so they should accept. He basically proposed that you can accept our rupee, we'll buy items from you if you accept, like partly, if we are ordering something worth 100 rupees, then take 50 rupees and we'll give you half a dollar for it, you know what I mean? So 50-50 can be done. He also talked about this thing. He urged these countries and its companies that you can come here in our country and you can exploit this oil sector. You can set up your refineries, or you can engage in this oil exploration. You can go for it. You can search if we have oil, and if you can find something, then we will make sure that everyone wins. So we'll give you a good deal. Petroleum and Natural Gas Ministry, CERA week conference was conducted in New Delhi. And can you give me the full form of CERA? That is right. If you can write it down in the comment section. I was just going to give you the full form. So right. So CERA, what is the full form of CERA? Do give it a go. Right. Write it down in the comment section. Let's see who can get it right. And I'll give you the full form by the end of this lecture. Now, Dharmendra Pradhan said that India has to continuously engage with global energy community to steer its own course of a new energy future. Basically, he was talking about oil and issues faced by us, and he was also talking about this ISA, that is International Solar Alliance. He said that recently Prime Minister talked about this thing, that ISA is having this potential to replace OPEC. We were talking about OPEC just a minute ago. Remember this group that is controlling quantity as well as price of oil produced. Mr. Pradhan also said that we have to, all these things that we are using, or the energy that we are using, we have to make sure that it is in line with United Nations 2030's Sustainable Development Goals, all those promises that we have made under Paris Agreement and G20 leaders meeting in Hamburg in 2017. All these things should be in our mind when we are framing any policy, or when we are coming out with something that is associated with energy usage or production or consumption of energy. Ministry for Agriculture and Farmers Welfare has got a very important figure for us, in fact figures for us, and I will highly recommend you guys to save this file and keep it with you guys, because 30%, government has allocated more than 30% funds under various schemes and activities to bring women in the agriculture mainstream. So basically, if we go through our 9 states, and research was conducted by ICAR, and as per this research, in 9 states that it has scanned, what they have found is very interesting, that 75% of major crop production is done by women, 79% horticulture by women, 51% in post-harvest work, women, and 95% agriculture, husbandry, animal husbandry and fisheries is conducted by women. So you can understand the important role played by women in food production and food security. So keep these figures in your mind. And last item, it's about Partnet, a small update that at present some 250,000 gram panchayats are connected with this Partnet, and by next year, March next year, each and every gram panchayat will be connected by with the help of by this Bharat Broadband Network Limited with this Partnet project. With this, hats off and a very happy birthday to our dear Abdul Kalam sir. Yesterday, right, the nation, the world celebrated his 87th birthday, and we love you so much, sir. Thank you very much for everything that you have done, and you have inspired all of us, definitely. Now today's map based question is this one. Can you give me the name of this island name, as well as can you also tell me it's part of which country? And also if you can add more geographical details about this thing, or you can also add political or economic details if you want. Right now, the reason why I'm asking you to do this exercise is because just imagine if 20 different items are added by 20 different students, you will get 20 things, so this is a good platform. That's what they do in big universities, this famous universities. They have this interactive model of education. Everyone helps each other. So this is a very good way. You can try this, give it a go. With this, everyone will swim together. You will learn so many things about a particular nation. So someone will talk about the president, someone will talk about, say for example, if the voter around it, someone will talk about it's a part of this country or that country, or whether it is a sovereign nation, or someone will talk about something. So I hope you're getting it right. So that's everything in today's discussion. I'll see you all. Till then, enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.